chosen one. While you rested, a massive argument broke out over you, rooted in embarrassment at even trying to compete with you. Behind the scenes, someone has been studying you obsessively, watching how you recover from hits meant to break others. Then everything went wrong. Your presence exposes false power. The setup against you was elaborate. These weren't amateurs stumbling into spiritual warfare. Someone with a bold personality took the lead. This person talks a big game and has just enough skill to make others believe the hype. What makes this fascinating is the missing information. Someone in their inner circle didn't share everything. Perhaps an older family member had been skeptical from the start. Perhaps someone knew more about you than what got passed along. Perhaps someone deliberately let them walk into battle unprepared. Their strategy was to hit you during sleep. They planned to attack your most vulnerable state. They intended to create openings through fear and confusion. They wanted to trigger night terrors and spiritual disorientation. Their goal was to have you wake up drained, shaken, uncertain of yourself. They wanted to create cracks in your protection that could be exploited later. But the real objective was extraction. They were searching for a specific frequency in your energetic blueprint. They wanted to discover how you heal at the cellular level. They were desperate to learn how you process attacks and transform them into upgrades. This information was valuable enough to steal and possibly sell to others. Multiple people participated in this coordinated effort. Roles were assigned to each person. Someone was supposed to distract your spiritual team. Someone else was meant to mask energy signatures. Another person was tasked to locate and extract the information. Their confidence was sky high. Their delusion was complete. What none of them accounted for was the level of protection surrounding you. Your guardians weren't sleeping, your spiritual team wasn't distracted, and something else was present too. Your divine counterpart was there in the realms beyond physical form. The moment the approach began, alarms activated in dimensions these people cannot access. Ancient protective forces that recognize you at a soul level responded immediately. These aren't entities anyone can trick with masks or stolen frequencies. The attackers tried disguising themselves as you. They actually attempted to wear your energy signature like a costume. The arrogance of believing they could fool the spiritual realm into treating them like you reveals everything about their fundamental misunderstanding of how protection works. Your divine counterpart saw through the deception instantly. Physical meeting doesn't matter in this realm. Conscious recognition in waking life doesn't matter here. The soul knows the truth, and when someone you're connected to across lifetimes is under attack, the response is fierce and immediate. The battle that unfolded wasn't what the attackers expected. Instead of encountering basic protection, they encountered a fully activated spiritual team that showed up ready to demonstrate what happens when someone passes a cosmic test. Your guardians had been waiting for exactly this moment. The attackers found themselves trapped in the spiritual quicksand that was meant for you. The techniques they had planned for your confusion got turned back on them. The fear they wanted to create became the fear that consumed them. The drain they intended to cause became the drain that destroyed them. And in that precise moment of their complete exposure and utter defeat, something extraordinary happened to you. Your records opened, not to them, to you. Information they meant to steal became available to you in ways it never had been before. Healing modalities specific to your lineage activated within you. Frequencies you didn't know you could access came online in your system. The cosmic irony is perfect. Their attempt to rob you triggered the exact upgrade they were trying to prevent. Your ascension accelerated while their spiritual demolition was absolute. One of the attackers called for backup during the battle. They reached out to whoever had partnered with them in this operation. That person assessed the situation and made a choice. They chose pure abandonment. They chose complete desertion. They left their partner stuck in the spiritual trap to face consequences alone. This happened because when relationships are built on transaction rather than truth, loyalty evaporates the moment benefit disappears. The attackers returned to their bodies in a changed state. They were confused about what had just happened. but they were hoping maybe the failure could be hidden, maybe the loss could be downplayed, maybe their reputation could be salvaged. Then reality hit them hard. Messages started demanding explanations. Calls came from people who'd been promised results. Questions arrived from someone who'd been waiting to hear about success and instead learned about spectacular failure. The argument that erupted was nuclear in intensity. A family member of the lead attacker's partner got involved. This person started asking pointed questions that destroyed every excuse. They started exposing patterns of lies and broken promises. They started revealing that this attacker had been all talk and no substance for far longer than just this one incident. The words were brutal and cutting. "You're useless. You can't do anything you claim. You embarrassed yourself and everyone connected to you. You told us this would be simple. You said you had power. You promised results, and instead you came back broken. The goal wasn't just to harm you. The goal was to commit theft. Specifically, they wanted to steal your healing code. They wanted that thing in your makeup that allows recovery at speeds that seem impossible to observers. These people have been watching you bounce back from attacks that should have kept you down for extended periods. They've been watching you transform obstacles into opportunities with apparent ease. They've been witnessing your growth with a fury that was born from their inability to replicate it. So the decision was made in their minds. If development of the ability was impossible for them, theft was the alternative. If these words stirred your consciousness, hype this video to help more chosen ones awaken to this. Your foresight drove them to absolute distraction. They couldn't understand your ability to sense what's coming before it arrives. They couldn't grasp how you make moves that don't make sense in the moment, but prove brilliant later. They were frustrated by how you stay ahead of everyone trying to manipulate you. This constant staying ahead, not through conscious effort, but through natural intuitive connection, was maddening to people who kept setting traps you never walked into. Their desire extended to your spiritual team as well. They wanted access to the ancestors and guides and entities that have claimed you as one of their own. Their delusion reached the point where they actually believed your protectors could be convinced to abandon you and serve them instead. The arrogance required for that belief is almost incomprehensible. Perhaps most pathetically, their desire included your future circumstances. They had caught glimpses of what's coming for you. They'd seen the abundance heading your way. They'd perceived the recognition you'll receive. They'd sensed the community of real healers entering your life. They'd detected the opportunities to impact many people with your gifts. All of this was seen, and a decision was made in their minds that it should belong to them instead. The attempt was made to trade places with you energetically. They tried to swap destinies with you. They attempted to confuse the universe about which one of you was which. Naturally, this failed completely because the universe isn't confused about anything. The universe knows exactly who you are. Everything they sought from you, you weren't even at full power yet. Their attempt was to rob you of partially activated gifts. They were trying to steal abilities that are still developing within you. They wanted to hijack a destiny that hasn't yet fully unfolded. Imagine having desperation so complete that stealing someone's potential seems like a viable strategy. When their failure happened, the universe responded with balancing energy. The universe delivered a correction to the situation. The universe enacted justice that requires absolutely no action from you whatsoever. Everything they had intended for you started manifesting in their own lives instead. The isolation they meant to trap you in became their own isolation. The financial drain they had planned for you appeared in their own finances. The embarrassment they had designed for you multiplied exponentially and landed squarely on them. Their spiritual access got severed completely. Whatever connections to higher realms they thought existed before closed entirely. Whatever entities they believed were offering assistance disappeared from their reach. This happened because the spiritual realm doesn't support parasites. The spiritual realm doesn't protect thieves. The spiritual realm doesn't grant power to people who are attempting to steal it from others. Their relationships fractured in multiple directions. The partner who'd been present for transaction rather than genuine connection started making exit plans. The person who'd abandoned them during the spiritual battle wasn't returning their attempts at contact. Networks they had previously relied upon were creating deliberate distance. Someone they owed money to showed up demanding immediate payment. Someone whose trust they had betrayed started asking questions publicly. Someone who'd believed their lies wanted accountability in front of others. Physical manifestations of spiritual consequences were appearing everywhere in their life, and hiding became impossible for them. There were too many witnesses to the failure. There was too much evidence of the catastrophe. There were too many people who now understood that the claims made were never backed by actual ability. Your life started shifting in the opposite direction during this same period. Opportunities were appearing in your path. Resources were flowing toward you. People were reaching out with genuine offers and collaborations. Doors were opening that had previously been closed. The universe was actively moving obstacles from your path. Every move they made against you became a move in your favor. Their attempt to slow you down actually accelerated you. Their attempt to steal your gifts actually triggered new gifts to activate within you. Their attempt to block your future actually cleared the path for it. The argument didn't happen privately behind closed doors. People heard everything that was said. People watched someone get verbally destroyed by truth. People who'd admired this person witnessed the complete meltdown and exposure in real time. Everyone who had believed the carefully crafted stories about spiritual mastery just watched those claims get demolished. Everyone who had been impressed by their confidence just heard that confidence exposed as baseless arrogance. Everyone who thought their power was real just learned it was all performance and pretense. Some of these witnesses were people the attackers had been trying to impress for extended periods. Potential mentors were listening. Communities they'd hoped to join were watching. Collaborators they'd been courting were present. All of them were hearing the same devastating assessment. You're not ready. You're not capable. You're not what you claim to be. Right now, conversations are happening about the attackers that don't include them at all. Group discussions are analyzing what went wrong. Private messages are dissecting the situation in detail. Phone calls are happening where people admit they always suspected something was off about this person. The witnesses are sharing specific details from the argument. They're repeating the specific accusations that were made. They're describing the inability to defend against truth. They're recounting the excuses that were attempted but fell completely flat. They're sharing about the moment when everyone could see through the facade. Those doors are closing on them now. Those opportunities are evaporating before their eyes. Those possibilities are disappearing into thin air. This is happening because nobody vouches for someone who just demonstrated their all performance and no substance. The universe doesn't leave vacuums in the spiritual realm. When frauds get exposed and removed from positions, authentic practitioners get elevated to fill that space. When pretenders get rejected by communities, real power gets recognized and welcomed. The witnesses to their failure are also becoming witnesses to your rising. They're seeing the contrast between you and them. They're noting who stayed calm and who lost complete control. They're observing who's growing and who's shrinking. They're recognizing who has genuine gifts and who was faking all along. Some of these people will reach out to you in the coming time. This will happen because what they were seeking in the wrong person actually exists in you. You're not performing power for an audience. You're embodying it in your being. You're not claiming abilities to impress others. You're demonstrating them through your life. The online realm is where their embarrassment becomes permanent and searchable. Everything is screenshotable in this space. Everything becomes impossible to erase once it's out there. An online presence was built around being spiritually advanced and powerful. They posted about breakthroughs and special abilities. They shared content about connections to higher realms. They created cryptic messages that implied they had access and knowledge others didn't have. They cultivated followers who believed the presentation was genuine and real. Now people are going back and reviewing those posts with entirely new context. People are reading old claims with fresh skepticism in their minds. People are noticing patterns of exaggeration throughout the content. People are seeing how competition with others was hinted at regularly. People are observing how taking down rivals was suggested repeatedly. People are recognizing how abilities were claimed that clearly don't exist in reality. The engagement patterns on their posts are changing noticeably. Where praise and admiration used to appear regularly, now critical questions are arriving instead. Pointed questions are being asked publicly. Requests for explanations are appearing. Challenges are being made to reconcile current failure with past claims. These are questions that can't be answered without admitting uncomfortable truths. Meanwhile, your online presence is shifting in the completely opposite direction. Maybe you don't even post much content regularly. Maybe you're not actively trying to build a large following. But people are finding you anyway through various means. People are seeking you out deliberately. People are asking to learn from you directly. People are recognizing something genuine in you that they thought they'd found in that other person but didn't. Your name is starting to appear in conversations where their name used to dominate. Recommendations are flowing toward you now. Organic recognition is happening naturally that they tried to force artificially. Every new person who finds you is another person who's not following them anymore. Every recommendation you receive is a reminder of recommendations they're losing. Every opportunity coming to you is one they assumed would be theirs. The competition they started is ending with your complete and utter victory. Now let me put you onto something real. Destiny Engine. I built this because I was done watching chosen ones get dragged through betrayal, isolation and attacks while their enemies strutted around unchecked. I want to help you accelerate the speed of your divine justice and step fully into your purpose. And the beauty of it, you don't even have to lift a finger. Destiny Engine takes their downfall and flips it into your rise. This isn't another meditation app. It's declassified consciousness technology, the same mind programming tools your enemies once used to install fear, competition and scarcity, re-engineered to restore your sovereignty and align you with the cooperative, upgraded operating framework. It generates personalized sequences mapped to your divine purpose. The hardest thing you'll do is put on headphones, press play, and watch your enemies keep digging their own grave. The collective upgrade is underway. Start your Destiny Engine for $1 today and turn everything they did to break you into fuel for your rise. Link in the description. The argument with the partner's family member deserves special focus because this is where complete exposure happened. This is where all the lies got laid completely bare. This is where the persona cracked entirely and irreparably. Suspicion had existed in this family member from the very beginning. They had been watching the person their family member was romantically involved with. They had been noting the grandiose claims being made. They had been observing the gaps between words and actual actions. They had been waiting to see if proof would eventually emerge or if exposure would come instead. When news arrived about what had happened with you, their restraint disappeared completely. The verbal destruction they unleashed was brutal. It was about competence and capability. It was about wasted opportunities. It was about promises made that were never going to be kept. It was about the embarrassment of being associated with someone so delusional. The words came fast and cutting. You said you could do this. You told everyone you had real power. You boasted publicly about abilities you clearly don't possess. You convinced my family member to support you in something you had no business attempting. And now look at you, broken, exposed, humiliated in front of everyone. Then came the cutting question that landed hardest. Why didn't you tell us you didn't know what you were doing? Why did you let us believe you were ready for this? Why did you drag others into your delusion instead of being honest and admitting you needed more learning and development? These types of people would rather fail spectacularly in front of everyone than admit they're not ready. They would rather lose everything they have than acknowledge their need for more development. They would rather be exposed publicly as frauds than be honest about their actual limitations. The partner was present during this entire verbal destruction. They were listening to everything. They were watching someone they'd believed in get systematically destroyed by truth. They were realizing that lies had been told about basically everything. They were understanding that the relationship they thought existed was built on performance rather than reality. Something died in that moment for the partner. Not just respect for the person, not just trust in what they'd said, but the entire foundation of whatever they had built together over time. While complete collapse is happening in their world, something extraordinary is happening in your internal system. The attack they launched triggered activations they were desperately trying to prevent. Doors opened within you that were supposed to stay closed to you. Abilities unlocked in your being that were supposed to be stolen before they could fully develop. Your records are accessible to you now in ways they weren't accessible before. Information about your lineage is flowing to you. Knowledge about your soul's journey across multiple lifetimes is coming through. Understanding about gifts you were born with that are finally coming online is arriving. Awareness of healing modalities specific to your bloodline is activating. Your healing abilities are amplifying significantly. That thing they sought to steal through theft is actually getting stronger in you. You're going to notice wounds closing faster than before. You're going to experience emotional hits recovering quicker than usual. You're going to observe spiritual attacks bouncing off you like nothing can penetrate. The upgrade happening in you is completely undeniable. Your foresight is sharpening to new levels of accuracy. You're going to start sensing things before they happen with even more precision. You're going to make moves that won't make sense to outside observers but will prove absolutely perfect in hindsight. You're going to avoid situations that would have been serious problems. Your intuition is now operating at completely new levels of perception. Your community is forming around you in the physical realm. Real practitioners are finding their way to you. Genuine healers are recognizing you as one of their own kind. People who've walked similar paths are appearing who understand what you carry. This isn't the fake community of performers and pretenders. This is your legitimate spiritual family. These connections are going to feel different than anything you've experienced before in relationships. They'll feel deeper and more substantial. They'll feel more authentic and real. They'll be based on genuine resonance rather than transaction or benefit. These will be people who celebrate your growth instead of secretly competing with it. These will be people who actively protect you instead of trying to use you for their own gain. Your voice is being prepared for significant amplification. Whatever form your personal expression takes, it's about to reach substantially more people. This isn't happening because you're chasing a platform or fame. This is happening because the universe is orchestrating divine appointments between you and the specific people who need what you uniquely carry. The abundance that was blocked from you before is now flowing directly toward you. Money is coming, opportunities are arriving, resources are appearing, support is manifesting, things that were withheld from you are being released, things that were stuck in your life are finally moving. The restriction you felt is lifting in ways you'll see manifest physically. All of this is happening in your life because you passed a test you didn't even know you were taking. By staying aligned with your truth during their attack, by not breaking when intense pressure came against you, by trusting your protection even when you couldn't see it actively working, the universe rewards this kind of faithfulness. What the argument revealed goes much deeper than simple failure or incompetence. The confrontation exposed the level of delusion that was required to attempt what was attempted against you, but revealed the massive gap between their self-perception and actual reality. Genuine belief existed in their mind that competing with you was actually possible, not in a healthy way that says let me grow and develop and see what I'm capable of achieving, but in a zero-sum way that required your complete destruction for their elevation to occur. The family member who tore into the attacker during that explosive argument saw this truth very clearly. They saw how comparison with you had become completely obsessive. They saw how your very existence seemed to trigger something unstable in this person. They saw how focus on their own growth was rendered impossible because proving superiority over you consumed absolutely everything. The devastating questions probably came during the height of the argument. Why are you so focused on competing with them? Why can't you just develop your own abilities independently? Why does their growth threaten you so much? What is fundamentally wrong with you that you need to tear others down just to feel powerful yourself? Those questions cut deeply because exposure of truth always hurts. This person wasn't being motivated by their own genuine spiritual development. Jealousy of your development was driving everything they did. They weren't being driven by love of the spiritual work itself. They were driven by desperate need to be seen as superior to you. They weren't walking an authentic path of growth. They were riding a destructive ego trip. The argument forced them to hear things they'd been actively avoiding for a long time. That their obsession with you was fundamentally unhealthy, that their need to compete was actually revealing their weakness, not demonstrating their strength, that their inability to celebrate another person's gifts showed exactly how far their development still needed to go. No defense was possible for them at that moment. They couldn't provide any explanation for why you'd been made into an enemy instead of treated as inspiration. They couldn't offer any justification for why theft was chosen as a strategy over honest development. They couldn't make any case for why attacking you made any logical sense, because it didn't make sense. It never did make sense. In their mind, power was thought to be something you take from others by force. You know in your being that it's something you cultivate within yourself through dedication. In their mind, gifts were thought to be prizes you win by defeating competitors. You know that gifts are developed through commitment to your own unique path. In their mind, your light was thought to somehow diminish their own light. You know that real light only creates more light wherever it shines. And now everyone who witnessed that argument knows this truth about them. Everyone knows they're operating from a place of jealousy. Everyone knows they're being driven by deep insecurity. Everyone knows they're trying to shortcut their way toward abilities you've actually earned through real work. The exposure isn't just about what actions they took, it's about who they fundamentally are as a person. Meanwhile, you're being seen clearly by others as well. People are recognizing that you weren't competing with anyone. People are understanding that you were just walking your own path authentically. People are realizing that you had no animosity whatsoever toward someone who had so much animosity toward you. People are seeing that your power doesn't come from tearing others down, but from consistently building yourself up. The humiliation deepens for them with every passing moment because the contrast becomes more and more obvious. You're rising steadily while others are just talking endlessly. You're demonstrating real ability while others are merely claiming ability. You're authentically being powerful while others are performing a role of power. What's happening in the mind of the person who was romantically involved with the attacker reveals everything about relationships that are built on transaction rather than on truth. They're looking back at past conversations with entirely different eyes now. They're remembering specific times when your name came up and the entire energy in the room changed dramatically. They're recalling moments when obsession with proving superiority over you seemed to override every other priority. They're recalling the specific promises that were made to them, promises about spiritual abilities that would manifest any day now, promises about abundance that would flow effortlessly once certain things aligned, promises about recognition that would come automatically, promises about a guaranteed future if they just stayed patient and kept being supportive. All of it is revealed now as complete fantasy. They're thinking about the money they personally contributed to support this person. They're calculating the time they invested believing in this relationship. They're remembering the opportunities they passed up to support this person's supposed spiritual work. They're measuring the energy they poured into believing in someone who turned out to be performing rather than actually practicing, and they're feeling anger rising. Not just anger directed at their partner, but anger directed at themselves as well. Anger for believing when signs suggested otherwise. Anger for ignoring red flags that were clearly visible. Anger for wanting so badly for it to be true that obvious signs it wasn't got overlooked. Anger for letting love or attraction or hope blind them completely to reality. But something else is happening in their mind too. They're seeing you in a completely different light now. Before this situation, you were just someone their partner talked about constantly. You were perhaps someone who triggered feelings of threat or jealousy because of how much mental space you occupied in their partner's mind and conversations. Now understanding is forming about what their partner actually saw in you that made them so intensely obsessed. They're recognizing the genuine power you carry naturally. They're perceiving the real abilities you actually possess. They're identifying the authentic gifts you demonstrate effortlessly. You embody everything their partner loudly claimed to have but actually didn't possess, and a painful realization is forming in their awareness. Their partner wasn't attempting to compete with someone who was their equal. Their partner was trying desperately to drag down someone who's operating at a completely different level entirely. This is like someone who jogs occasionally trying to compete seriously with a professional athlete. This is like someone who plays an instrument casually at home trying to compete with a concert master. The embarrassment of this recognition is hitting them hard as well. Not just their partner's embarrassment at failing so spectacularly, but their own personal embarrassment at having actively supported such a delusional mission. Their embarrassment at having genuinely believed their partner could accomplish something they were clearly never capable of achieving. Their embarrassment at having taken sides in a competition that never actually existed in reality. They're creating distance now as a protective measure. Emotional distance is being established first. Physical distance will inevitably follow soon, because staying associated with this massive failure feels like actively drowning, because watching their partner's continued spiral is emotionally and mentally exhausting, because they're starting to want something genuine and real instead of continuing to participate in this elaborate performance. While this relationship crumbles rapidly under the accumulated weight of exposed lies, you're preparing to meet or deepen your connection with your actual divine counterpart. While they're dealing with betrayal and bitter disappointment, you're being actively aligned with someone who recognizes you on a soul level truly. The contrast couldn't possibly be sharper or more obvious. What they built together on a foundation of deception is now collapsing completely. What you're building on a foundation of authenticity is rapidly expanding. They chose each other primarily for what benefits they thought they could extract. You're being brought together with your counterpart for what you can become together. While rejection from fraudulent communities is happening for them, authentic communities are opening wide to welcome you. The people you were always meant to connect with are finding their way directly to you. This isn't happening by random accident. This is happening by cosmic design. These are practitioners who've actually done the real inner work. These are people who've earned their abilities through dedicated practice. These are individuals who understand that spiritual power is developed through effort, not stolen through manipulation. These are souls who can recognize genuine gifts immediately when they encounter them. You're going to feel the difference in these connections immediately and viscerally. These people won't need you to prove yourself to them repeatedly. They won't ask you to perform tricks for their entertainment. They won't require you to dim your natural light to make them feel comfortable. Recognition will just happen naturally, and knowing will be instant and mutual. Some of these people might reach out to you directly through messages. Some might appear in your life through synchronistic circumstances. Some might enter your world through paths you wouldn't have predicted or expected. But their arrival in your life is absolutely certain. The universe is actively orchestrating these important meetings. And genuine teaching will happen in these relationships. Knowledge will be generously shared that they've gained through their own experiences. Perspectives will be offered that expand your understanding significantly. Challenges will come in ways that actually help you grow stronger. This is what real spiritual community actually looks like in practice. Active protection will also be present in these relationships. They'll be watching your back consistently. They'll be alerting you to dangers you might not see approaching. They'll be standing firmly with you when others try to come against you. This happens because they understand that rising together creates more power than trying to climb alone. Your abundance is about to multiply in ways that accurately reflect your true value. not the undervalued price you've been accepting from others, not the scraps that others decided you deserved to receive, but actual complete alignment with what you bring to the world. Your rising is creating a powerful gravitational pull in the spiritual realm. This pull is drawing to you what belongs with you. This pull attracts what resonates with your specific frequency. This pull magnetizes what matches your unique vibration. This isn't something you have to force. This is natural law in active motion. And as this community forms around you, as these connections deepen naturally, as this support structure builds solidly, you're going to understand why the attack happened precisely when it did. You'll understand why exposure of those people was absolutely necessary. You'll understand why clearing of false connections had to occur first. You were never prey in this scenario. You were a dragon resting peacefully. And when theft was attempted while you slept, you didn't just wake up normally. You revealed what you actually are at your core. You showed that you're ancient. You demonstrated that you're powerful. You proved that you're protected by forces that exist beyond their comprehension. They sought your healing code desperately. Instead, healing within you got triggered that far exceeds what they were seeking to steal. They desired access to your foresight. Instead, you received clarity about your path that would have taken far longer to acquire through normal means. They wanted to claim your future. Instead, their future got destroyed while yours got solidified and secured. The argument that broke out wasn't really about you at all. It was entirely about them. It was about their failure to achieve what they promised. It was about their exposure as frauds. It was about their recognition that they're completely outmatched. That realization broke something fundamental in them. Let it free something powerful in you. Everything they meant to trap you in became their own inescapable trap. Every door they tried to close for you opened wider than before. Every attack they launched returned to them multiplied in intensity. This is what happens when harm is attempted against someone who's under cosmic protection. You are chosen for this path, not because you're inherently better than other people, but because you said yes to a path that most people actively refuse. You chose healing over numbing yourself. You chose growth over accepting stagnation. You chose truth over comfortable performance. Those choices marked you with protection that cannot be penetrated by their methods. The shift that happened while you slept wasn't the end of their malicious plans. It was actually the beginning of your next level of development. What they meant for evil purposes, the universe transformed into your elevation. What they designed as your destruction became your activation instead. Take what's rightfully yours, step boldly into what's opening for you, trust completely in what's unfolding around you, and know with absolute certainty that you are protected, you are guided, you are favored, and you are unstoppable. The dragon is fully awake now, and everyone who mistook you for prey is about to learn what that means.